We were talking earlier about Robert Kennedy Jr.'s hearing yesterday, which got very heated at times. A lot of Americans are concerned about him running HHS, and you made it perfectly clear why you think he's dangerously unfit to serve. Let's take a look at the clip.
Robert Kennedy will have the power to undercut vaccines and vaccine manufacturing across our country. And for all of his talk about follow the science and his promise that he won't interfere with those of us who want to vaccinate his kids, the bottom line is the same. Kennedy can kill off access to vaccines and make millions of dollars while he does it. Kids might die, but Robert Kennedy can keep cashing in.
Well, that's one vote he's not getting. Tell us about the takeaway you got from the hearing, Senator.
So here's the part I want to make sure that everybody sees in this. Robert Kennedy has made a lot of money promoting these anti-vax ideas, right, in books and onesies and trips. And he also now owns a piece of the action in lawsuits against the vaccine companies. So somebody sues one of the vaccine companies, gets $10 million in the lawsuit. Robert Kennedy makes a cool $1 million. If he gets to be the head of HHS, he will have the tools in his toolbox to make it more likely that those lawsuits win, that is, that the vaccine manufacturers lose, and that the amount of the payoffs are even bigger. In other words, he will have all of these tools just very quietly with no oversight, because he'll be the guy in charge, to undercut vaccines so that he could make more money in the future and the rest of us could end up literally with no vaccines at all to give to our children.
Oh, my God.
It's just despicable.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about part 2 of the Senate confirmation hearing for RFK to become the next Secretary for Health and Human Services. Now, yesterday we talked about Democrats boohoo, whine, and cry, losing their minds. Elizabeth Warren, right, going at it with RFK because RFK wants to make sure that vaccines are safe. Right? He actually wants to adhere to real science, have more vigorous standards for the vaccines that we inject into people's bodies and babies after they're born. He also wants to make the country healthy again. He wants to lower the cost of healthcare by tackling the obesity crisis. All apparently controversial things, according to Democrats and so-called progressives who used to be against Big Pharma, right? They used to be anti-Big Pharma. Until Democrats took power in 2021, the vaccine came out, and all of a sudden, they are now the biggest advertisers for Big Pharma, right? Maybe because, I don't know, they're bought and paid for, okay? Which is something that, you know, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, they claim they're against, right? They claim they're against all these politicians being bought and paid for, right? They're the only ones out here that are really fighting for the people. But just like all these other politicians, it seems as if they're also fighting on behalf of corporate interests, even though they're pretending not to. And that's exactly what RFK exposed when it comes to Bernie Sanders in this part 2 of the Senate confirmation hearing that happened today, in which Bernie Sanders once again was trying to go after RFK to make him commit to his socialist vision for healthcare in this country. And RFK was not having it. Take a look.
If we want to make America healthy, will you assure the American people that you will fight to do what every other major country on earth does, guarantee health care to every single American?
I'm going to make America healthier than other countries in the world right now.
Will you guarantee do what every other major country does? It's a simple question.
And by the way, Bernie, the problem of corruption is not just in the federal agencies, it's in Congress too. Almost all the members of this panel are accepting, including yourself, are accepting millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry.
And
protecting their interests.
Oh, I thought that would come. No. I ran for president like you. I got millions and millions of contributions. They did not come from the executives, not one nickel of PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. They came from workers.
In 2020, you were the single largest
because I had
receiver of pharmaceutical money.
from workers all over this country. Workers miss not a nickel from corporate tax.
You were the single largest acceptor of pharmaceutical dollars.
No, from workers in
1.5 million.
Yeah, out of 200 million. All right, but you have not answered. Last question. You have not answered my question.
Mr. Chairman, we're 3 minutes.
How do we make America healthy if you don't guarantee health care?
We're literally 3 minutes over here now.
Well,
how long does it keep going? At some time, you're just battering the witness, Bernie.
Not battering the witness.
Yes, you are. And you're getting upset at him. You're going at him just like anybody else would.
Yeah, see, now you heard that. I absolutely love that response from RFK, okay, because Bernie Sanders tries to pretend as if he is above it all, right? He's above corruption. He's not corrupted when he is taking big money from the pharmaceutical industry and all these other industries, just like the rest of the politicians. All of these politicians are bought and sold, right? It's just about who's bought who, right? Who's bought who has prostituted himself out to what company and what industry, right? That's what it's about, okay? And Bernie Sanders certainly has prostituted himself out to certain industries. It seems as if the pharmaceutical industry is one of those industries. I'm just saying, this is the same guy throughout his political career. This guy has taken about $2 million in contributions from the pharmaceutical industry. But yet, we're supposed to believe that he's above corruption? And again, this is the same guy where, it started, let's tax the millionaires, right? Let's tax the rich. This dude is a millionaire, a multimillionaire, Bernie Sanders. Now it's all about the billionaires, right? We need to tax the billionaires, right? How does that work? You become a millionaire and now all of a sudden you need to tax the billionaires? It started with the millionaires though, right? But now it's the billionaires. Okay, you see how that works? So with that being said, I think the thing about Bernie Sanders that really gets me, and I don't dislike Bernie, right? I actually think that Bernie is one of the more honest Democrats, okay? I can disagree with him when it comes to his ideology, but I do think that he's more honest than most Democrats. The problem with Bernie Sanders is that Bernie Sanders is weak, okay? And when it comes time to stand up to the establishment, okay, the powers that be that he claims he's fighting against, he fails almost every single time. And I believe that Dave Smith articulated this in a way that I feel is damn near perfect. Take a look.
The dynamic is much more like the corrupt versus the not corrupt. Liars versus honesty. That's the dynamic much more than it is left versus right. And when it really matters, okay, and it comes down to it, and somebody like Bobby Kennedy is a threat to power, and you see literally, quite literally here, the powerful coalescing around keeping this threat to power out, right? The senators keeping out the dissident potential health department secretary. When it matters, where's Bernie Sanders? He's on the side of power, being a fucking blowhard, giving this bullshit speech, trying to make Bobby Kennedy look bad. That's where Bernie Sanders falls down when it matters, as always. As always. The guy LARPs as a representative of the people. And whenever it comes down to it, when it really matters, he falls in line with power. Just like when he endorsed Hillary Clinton at the DNC in 2016. He had this huge movement, this mass movement of people who hated big banks and hated the billionaire class rigging the system in their favor and hated the forever wars. And he got them to support Hillary Rodham Clinton. The person who gives speeches for $500,000 to big bankers and tells them in those speeches, don't worry about what I'm saying publicly. I say one thing publicly, but I say a different thing privately to you. Now, in that moment, when it really mattered, look at what the Libertarian Party just did with Donald Trump. We got Ross Ulbricht freed because, look, we represented a voting bloc and he wanted to court us and he knew this was a thing that we wanted. So we were able to get a concession out of him in exchange for our support. Like it or no, don't like it, that's politics. Bernie Sanders had tens of millions of Democratic voters in the Democratic primary. And then Hillary Clinton and the DNC cheated him out of it. And this came out. The WikiLeaks dump had come out by the Democratic National Convention. They knew that Hillary Clinton and the DNC had cheated against Bernie Sanders, and he had so many chips. He could have sat there and said like, well, you know what? I'm taking my voters and walking, and we will cost you this election because we don't believe in people who, we hate the big bankers and the wars and the powerful and all this shit. Or he could have at least extracted some serious concessions. I mean, if we could get Ross Ulbricht free, he could have gotten almost any damn policy promise he wanted to. And what did he do? He got none of that and just told all his supporters to go support Hillary Clinton. When it comes down to it, Bernie Sanders is not a dissident. He's always on the side of power. Screw that guy.
Facts. There's nothing that he said there that I can dispute, especially considering how not only did they cheat Bernie in 2016, they cheated him again in 2020, right? It's crazy how that works. How in the world have you become a slave to a party that basically has rigged their own primary against you, right? They did it twice, and you're still caping for them? You're still right alongside them when it comes to holding up the establishment power structure that you claim that you're against, right? You're against all these millionaires and billionaires, but the Democrat Party is the party of the rich, straight up. I mean, that's just a factual statement. Most billionaires are left wing. And then when you break it down by income bracket, right, the voting patterns, again, it seems to me that the Democrats are the party of the rich. Like, for example, if you made over $200,000, 52% of those people voted for Harris. 100,000 to 200,000, 51% voted for Kamala Harris. But when you look at the actual middle class, $30,000 to $100,000 a year in income, all those people voted for Trump at 52%. So it's become clear to me that the Democrat Party has become the party of the rich, and the Republicans have become the party of the middle class. And when it comes time for Bernie Sanders to actually do something of substance outside of just talking, right, to stand up to the corporate billionaire class, he folds, right? He's holding water for the Democrat Party. He's holding water for the rich, right? He's carrying water for the rich because RFK is actually a threat to those big pharma billionaires, right? That Bernie claims that he's against so much. But again, when it comes time to actually put your money where your mouth is and to actually vote for it, to stand up to the corporate billionaires, right, in the pharmaceutical industry, in big agriculture, oh, no, I can't do it. We can't do it. RFK he's not on board with universal health care. So therefore, he doesn't want the country to be healthier. We can't afford that. Our country's too fat. We're too fat. We're too obese. Okay. I mean, before you even think about having so-called universal health care in this country, okay, and we're talking about everybody being covered. We're not just talking about Medicare, Medicaid. We already have those things, right? We already have socialized medicine to a certain extent for old people and for people who can't afford it. But before we can think about having a complete universal healthcare system, we have to make our country healthier. And we're not going to get healthier by giving out free healthcare to people who don't take care of themselves. In fact, we're going to be incentivizing people to not get healthy, right? We're going to be incentivizing pharmaceutical companies to drug up a bunch of unhealthy people, to put temporary fixes and Band-Aids on their health problems, and to continue to rack up money at the expense of taxpayers, which is exactly what's happening right now. And what Bernie Sanders and all these progressives are asking for will only make the problem worse. It will be unaffordable. We cannot afford it. That's what these people don't understand. You got to fix the underlying issue first. Why is it that this country is so damn unhealthy? Okay, and it's not because we don't have universal health care. That's not the reason. RFK has thoroughly outlined the reasons, and he's trying to fix those key core underlying issues that are contributing to the obesity crisis in this country. That's what he's trying to do. And that means taking on the pharmaceutical and agricultural establishment. That's what he's doing. That's literally what he's trying to do. He's trying to do what Bernie claims that he's trying to do, except RFK is serious about it, right? Bernie is not. Bernie's just talking so that he can keep raising money from these socialist losers who believe that he's an effective leader. When he's not. He's proven time and time again he's not effective at really leading anything. He folds, right? He folded to Hillary. He folded to Joe Biden. And he's folding right now when it comes to putting somebody who actually is going to work to push back against the establishment that he claims he's against, right? He's folding when it comes to putting that person in a position of power because, again, his main job, even though he claims he's an independent, right? His main job is to toe the party line, right? To toe the party line with Democrats. Whatever Democrats say, Bernie will eventually get on board with it because he is Weak. He's a weakling. He's old as hell and he needs to retire. Right? Him and Joe Biden need to get on the same page. You're too damn old to be in office at this point. Okay? You're decaying. You are decaying. Your time is up. It's time for you to pass the torch to somebody else. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.